Punctuating dialogue. We're going to be using dialogue in the upcoming narrative writing. Plus, when you do your social studies language arts papers this year, you will have to use quotations. And so you'll need to know how to use your commas and quotation marks properly. I'm going to try to do this on a split screen. What you should have pulled up is the notes sheet, the PowerPoint notes for dialogue, which is Grammar Unit 1.5. And that's, if you have that up, I'll show the PowerPoint on the left-hand side and you should be able to see them from there. We'll try this anyway. So, paragraphs. You'll see on the left that you start a new paragraph or enter, return, indent, or tab when there's a change in the speaker, change in time, a change in place, or a change in a major event or action. You'll write these in on the right-hand side on your note sheet that you have pulled up at the moment. Now, when you're writing your dialogues, probably the most important part of this is that you start a new paragraph whenever your speaker changes. And so you still indent just to show that it is a new speaker speaking. There's nothing so frustrating as reading somebody's writing when they're not using speaker tags, and thus after a while you have no idea who is saying the different parts of the sentences. So that can become very confusing. If you do this correctly, you will get it, and so will your reader. The next part is to place quotation marks before and after the exact words of a speaker. So you can see the example there. I pitched a shutout last night in the Little League World Series. Now, in your dialogues or in your narrative writing, you're going to make sure that you're quoting something that somebody said. In your language arts social studies papers, you'll be using quotation marks around anything that you take exactly from a source, from an internet source or from a book source, but using the quotation marks shows that you have used those exact words and that you haven't changed or added anything, and that is why we cite the material. Capitalize the first letter of the first word in the quotation marks. So you'll see here it says Amy said, comma, let's go to the Steelers game. So because let's go is the first part of her sentence, that's why you're capitalizing that. So make the corresponding note on your note sheet, please. Almost always punctuate inside the quotation marks. You'll notice the exclamation point is inside, come on. Use a period, a question mark, or exclamation point inside the quotation marks if it ends the entire sentence. This is something that is often confused. So John said, comma, my, notice the my has got a capital letter, my dog is very nice, period, quotation marks. John asked, comma, do, and notice the do is capitalized, do you want to pet the dog, question mark, then your quotation marks. If you identify the speaker before the quotation, this is called a speaker tag. See it? Amy said, that's your speaker tag. Then put a comma after the speaker tag. So Amy said, comma, it's almost time to go. Notice the capital I, and notice that the go period is inside the quotation marks. You should notice that I have moved our note sheet on the right-hand side up a little bit. Now we're on option number 2. Use a comma, a question mark, or an exclamation point inside the quotation marks if it does not end the entire sentence. So, for example, we have our quotation marks and our capital T for the Pirates are my favorite team, comma, quotation marks, John said, period. So because the speaker tag is at the end of the sentence, we have just a comma after team, just to show that there is something afterwards. The said period actually ends the sentence. Are you ready? Question mark, quotation marks, John asked, period. Now, even though John's asking, we still end that with a period because we used our question mark after are you ready? If you identify the speaker after the quotation, then put a period at the end of the sentence. As we see here again, it's almost time to go to the game, comma, Amy said, period. Finally, If you interrupt the quotation to identify the speaker, and this is nice to do for a little bit of variety in your writing, then you're going to use a comma inside the first part of the quote. Do not capitalize the second part because the sentence is still going on. You wouldn't capitalize one of your own sentences right in the middle, would you? So do not capitalize the second part of the interrupted quotation if the quotation is continuing. For example, I think, comma, Jamie said, comma, we are going to be late for school, period. Now you'll notice a couple things about this. One is that we have our quotation marks at the very beginning. Of course we'd have a capital I either way, but because the sentence is actually, I think we're going to be late for school, and we want to just interrupt it with a speaker tag, that's why we have a comma after think and after said. The we is not capitalized because we have not started a new sentence. This is a continuation of the other sentence. Now this concludes the PowerPoint and the note-taking portion. Now we're going to take a look at practice 1. What you're looking at now is Punctuating Quotations Practice 1, which you'll be completing for homework. Your directions are to place the quotation marks and punctuation where it is needed in the sentences below. Isn't Mrs. Nettles a great teacher? Asked Megan. Now you can see there are numerous problems with this. We have no capitalization where it's needed. We have no quotation marks, no commas, no periods. You can see in A, B, and C that this has all been corrected in 3 different ways. In A, the speaker tag comes at the end. In B, in the beginning. And in C, the speaker tag is interrupting the question. You'll notice that all 3 of these are done correctly. Therefore, when you complete numbers 2 and 3, all you have to do is follow the same patterns. Have the speaker tag come at the end, at the beginning, and then finally in the middle, while you practice how to put your quotation marks and commas and end punctuation in. When you get to number 4, you'll see that there's just a little bit of a story. Now the story isn't going to make a lot of sense to you until you put in the correct punctuation and the correct quotation marks. It's supposed to be that way because it shows us that without punctuation and capitalization marks, we're really missing a lot of the cues that we need to be able to make sense of text. So you will have to rewrite this particular paragraph unless you have a better way of showing where you can put in the capitalization, the commas, and the quotation marks and the end punctuation. I'll leave that to you to figure out a way to do that, and just as long as you can show it clearly and understand what you have answered. So make sure that you download these documents from Blended Schools, watch the entire screencast, and you will have practice 1 ready to go for tomorrow. We'll be checking the key to practice 1 together in class, but I just wanted to let you see that practice 2 is set up in exactly the same way. For questions or sentences 1, 2, and 3, you're going to put the speaker tag at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end, and put in the correct capitalization, quotation marks, and end punctuation. For number 4, again, it won't make a lot of sense until you fix the paragraph. Don't forget also that you do need to start a new paragraph when a new speaker is talking. To do that, you can always use the paragraph symbol, and I will try to do that here. Let's see if I can do it. It is this, kind of a backwards P with 2 lines there. That's more or less it. And we'll be having a practice 3 in class that's a little bit more traditional of an exercise, and we'll get to that a little bit later, and then we will be having a quiz. The main way that you will demonstrate that you have gotten the dialogue concepts, however, is that you will have to put dialogue in your long-range narrative writing. So I will be looking forward to watching you do that. Thanks for watching.